G'day YouTube, my name's Lance. Welcome to Bundy Bear's Shed. Well, the weather report, 13 to 25. Look, it's mostly sunny, a few clouds in the sky, but look, nothing serious. Yeah, good day for buggering around in the shed. It's Monday morning, I'm trying to get the stew done early. We have a very big week coming up with a little bit of club stuff. Friday and Saturday this week, Bundaberg has one of their agricultural shows called Agro Trend on, and as a club we're going to that. So that's Friday, Saturday, but Thursday I'll be set up, and then I've got to run up to the club shed up at Mullet Creek and grab a carry-all for it and things like that. So we'll just see. I'm just going to tap the camera at the back here. Now you might notice the camera's a little bit different to normal. And the sound might be a bit different too. My main camera, it's a Panasonic Lumix Z300, I think it is. Look, I've had it for years, but look, it's playing up a little bit. And I had an old FZ81, Panasonic one, and the spring on the zoom is buggered up. So you think you're filming something, the next thing you're looking, it's travelled in or out. So I bushed that and I got the FZ300, I think it was. Look, many years ago now, it wouldn't owe me too, Bob. And the camera's playing up a little bit, and even the sound, like I've got the Rode microphone here, and I'm actually using a GoPro, look, Hero 11 I think it might be, and I don't normally use the GoPros in the shed here. They're more for if I go to tractor shows and things like that out and about. But I have a GoPro with a medium mod, and this is a Hero 9 GoPro, and it's got like a wide angle lens on it to do close-up sort of stuff. But GoPros aren't my favourite camera. But anyway, look, I'm having a bit of trouble with that. And then this morning, the sound card that I normally use on the Tascam 600, it didn't matter what I do, it says the card's wrong. You know, it's not the correct card, and it's a card I've been using for months. So I did try and buy a couple of cards on eBay, but they sent me the wrong ones, and then I had to refund and just a big route around. And so I have the card from the Tascam, I have two of them. And so I thought, okay, I'll put the old Tascam card in there, and I'd cleaned it up. I didn't have to reformat it, I just cleaned up some of the old files off it. It won't accept that either. So the sound system that I normally use, so it normally goes through the Rode here, the wireless microphone, to the receiver. The receiver sits on top of the Tascam, and that puts it into the Tascam, and that's how we can dial out some of the shed noise and things like that. But today we're just running the GoPro, we're running the Rode cordless microphone on top of it, and hopefully we're getting a bit of a reasonable sound coming out. And I don't think there'll be much cleaning up, but I think on the Adobe Premiere Pro, I think is what I use, I can actually clean up the sound a little bit there. But look, we're going to try. Today's the first time we're playing with all this, so we'll just see how it goes. It can't be all that bad, surely, but we'll see. The GoPros, I know, like A-Bomb79 and some of the other blokes that do machining work, they get the GoPros right in there and all that. And look, they're all right, but I don't know, I've just always enjoyed the bigger camera where I can zoom manually, and I've sort of got to understand how it works a bit better. But the GoPro here that I'm using now, I had to hop into the settings this morning and take it off the wide setting to a linear setting, which looks like I'm further away, but you're only just a bit over an arm's length away. But that got rid of, when I first started, the signs behind me there, they had this big fisheye effect on them. And so I fiddled around, it looks like I've got rid of that. So we'll just see how it goes. Yeah, with Agro Trend coming up, I'll probably take a couple of tractors in there. Ed that does the fence, and he wants the roller that the Kempy's made for the club. And I actually took that up to the club shed out of the way, because I thought, well, here it'll either get like far more red paint overspray on it, or it sat out in the weather here for a while, and I thought, well, we didn't have a have too many dues coming up, I'd take it up there. But then Ed hit me up yesterday, oh, where's that thing? I need that for the agro trend, so I'll go and get it. I don't know how many tractors we're going to have there. We've got a new member, Folksy. He's got a Turner tractor, which will be interesting. Yeah, probably little Ronnie will bring a couple of tractors along as usual. Yeah, look, I just don't know. We'll see. Hopefully we got enough to put on a bit of a reasonable show for the club and for Agro Trend, which is run by Rotary. But we'll just have to see. We've got a lot of members away, like the treasurer and his missus. They stayed for the meeting yesterday, but they've shot through, I believe. Yeah, old Laurie and Jean and a few of the others. I think Dave and Marilyn have a daughter's wedding or something or other that weekend or around then sometime. So a few members that usually put on a bit of a display. Yeah, they won't. The treasurer only usually brings an engine, but yeah, it all adds up. And so anyway, we'll just see how that goes. So a fair bit of my time this week will be club stuff. We went to the meeting yesterday. I think they said our rally made $4,600, but I've had a relook at the figures, and by the time we take into account some of the trucking expenses and a donation to the veterans that helped us at the gate and all that, well, I reckon we can knock pretty well $1,020, $30 out of that. So, but look, that's still fine. From the Saturday, we had 36 mils of rain, so it's a pretty good show. I think the members have something to be proud of there. But that was, they charged us for all sorts of things. Like I went through the figures last night, and $2 worth of biros. So, we got biros here everywhere. And yeah, but anyway, so we know that if we made a profit when they're charging us, the treasurer's putting all these minute expenses, which is no problem with it, but all these minute expenses are going there, and we're still pulling a profit. I think we're doing well. So we got it clear for next year for a rally on I think it was the 9th and 10th of August this time. Next year it'll be the 8th and the 9th of August, so it'll still be the second weekend in August. But yeah, so we've got that through. Yeah, we'll just see how that goes. Oh look, I think it'll be fine. Everyone's keen. We had a great rally. The blokes, they put in a lot of work, like myself and Tim, and I haven't spoken to Alan. He's away fishing for this weekend, but yeah, blokes put in a lot of work, are all keen to do it again, so that's a good sign, and there was a good feel in the whole thing. Me and the treasurer are having a few arguments, but that's all right. Instead of stewing on something, you need to get it out there and rip it up, people, and rip it up back, and well, not rip it up, but just say your piece and get it done. So we're doing a bit of that, and that's fine too. We have the AGM coming up in December, so we're yesterday at the meeting I was asking members, would they like to step up and take a position of one kind. Alan, that's been secretary for many years now, he's just passed it, and I've been talking to him about it, and it's the just age. He turned 80, and some of the stuff with the rally, he'd say, oh, I'll do that, and I'd say, how'd you go with that? Oh, was I doing that, was I? And things like that. And when the pressure came on with the with getting the licence, the alcohol licence in a hurry, because the council said we didn't need one, then they said we did, and all that. Well, he sort of put it aside and said, oh, I'll do that next week, but we didn't have time. So, and the licences for the signs and all that sort of stuff. So he was having trouble with that, but he's got a lot going on in his life. His health had a dicky leg, and his wife's quite crook, and so it's time for Alan to move on. Like he wouldn't owe the club anything. The club would owe him a debt of gratitude, if anything. So we have to fill that position, and I'm president. I've got two blokes. I'm trying to talk a couple of them into being president, and I reckon they'd be a good job. They'd do it well. A couple of them, like Alan and them, reckon I need to be president because I got the leader thing. I can get them together and get people to work, and ring them up and have a chat and get a working crew together. But then there's other people that could do that, and I can help them, get them going with that. But I've got two blokes that are happy to be two IC, but I can't talk one of them into being one IC. And I'm saying, look, I'll be there with you, I'll help you, and all that. And what that probably does then is frees me up to be secretary, because when we look at the members going through who we think could do it, we're a club of older folk, and a lot of people aren't computer savvy, and you know, Word files, Excel spreadsheets and all that stuff that we use, they're not that good with that. So I suppose I'm the best fit for the secretary, but then myself and Alan had a look at the legislation, and the secretary can have 2 jobs, lucky bastard. So I could probably do secretary and president as well, because look, they're intermingled. Those jobs, you know, when you're president, you're talking to the secretary often. Well, in our club, when you're doing a rally, you are, and you're just getting stuff together. But for the rally, all the vendors and all the paperwork and all that for that, I did all that anyway. So I think it's probably a thing we could do. But I'm telling people, don't be scared to step up. I won't get offended if you want me job. I'll be here in the shed bloody kicking back in my chair, just having a nice time. But anyway, so that's coming up. I'm encouraging members to have a go with support. Like, I'll help where I can, you know. So anyway, I've got 2 blokes that I've been trying to talk one into being president and one into 2IC, and I can be rally coordinator and probably secretary. But both of them are happy to be 2IC, but they don't want the reins. So anyway, look, we'll work something out amongst ourselves. I'll get a couple of them round for a beer, I think. Bloody bully them into it. Judy, my Mrs. Judy, she's going to, I've asked her to nominate for treasurer, and her friend Sally. Jude's had a heap of business experience and running tills, and like, you know, we were putting through millions of dollars, and Jude could keep a track of that and just bloody, you know, just no fuss, just got the job done. That's what I'd like to happen. Sal, her friend, she's been asset manager and all that for a government for years, and yeah, no flies on Sal. She can work, and they work together. Like, I noticed at the rally, when they were together up in the office at the gate and things like that, they were the ones that picked up there'd been like a $3,000 mistake in gate takings and things like that, which was just figures back the front, but the information we were getting was different. But they picked that up, just sitting there chatting and buggering around, and they said, oh yeah, this isn't right. So they got me up there and had a look, and I could see what they were saying. But my argument was, if we were doing the tills at the time, we would have picked that up the day before. But anyway, we're moving on from all that. But yeah, so new rally coming up. So start polishing your tractors. Start that new project. If I can start a Farmall 100 water pump job about 6 or 8 weeks before the rally and get it ready for the rally, you blokes can do the same. Just don't be shy. Have a crack. What's happening in the shed here? Lots. Absolute heaps. For those who follow Bundy Bear's Shed on Facebook, I'm putting posts up there just about every day on what I'm doing on the 65, and I'm putting a few shorts up at YouTube, because I know some of you watch YouTube and you're not into Facebook at all. You know, I've got other people that are into Facebook and don't know what I've said on YouTube. So there's 2 little communities out there, and it's bloody interesting, you know. Like, I've been enjoying, like, Billy Weir, one of my followers, he's doing some 35 panel work while I'm doing my 65, and he sent me some photos of his rolled edges he's doing with a wire in them for a mower, and photos of where he's, you know, fixed an apron on a 35, and it's not just me putting my stuff out there. I really enjoy the interaction coming back, and that can happen on the YouTube community tab, which now they call it posts or something. They've changed the name of the bloody thing. And so I'm putting a couple of things up. I'm putting a few shorts up on what's happening for the YouTube community, and Facebook page, the Bundy Bear Shed one. Well, it's taken off. It's yeah. I put a reel out last week about the FE35 of Grumpy Dave's that I spoke about in the stew last week. And I did a quick walk around as the stew of that. Well, 10,000 views on Facebook just because of that. So, been very popular. So, look, that's a good thing. I'm enjoying the shed work at the moment. I'm really kicking on. Now I've got this club stuff coming up with Agro Trend, and I'm thinking I'd rather just stay in the bloody shed and do me videos, you know. So It's a wheel, isn't it? Like, you know, I just put out stews for ages because I was stale on what I was doing. I was having trouble getting motivated by it. And now I'm all keen, wagging my tail, and now I've got this other shit to do. So anyway, it's how it is. Some of the panels, like the side panels down the grill on the 65, on Facebook, you can see a thing on Facebook where it had all these welds and it was a bloody shit show. And so I cut the whole top out of that and put another panel in there. And look, that's come up really well. I've got it sanded, I've got primer, and what I'm doing, I'm putting the Bearco primer undercoat. I'm putting that on, but I'm putting on like quite a few coats, and fairly thick coats, and then I'll just let it dry. Then a couple of hours later I'll put some more. Well, I'm using it like as a sanding putty. And actually, I don't know, I've never even looked. I used to have a spray putty for doing cars. You know, I was never very good at it, but the spray putty for lacquer. I've never even asked, is there a spray putty for enamel? I suppose there is. Perhaps I should just buy some. But I'm building it up over a couple of coats, and it might take me 3 or 4 or 5 hours, whatever, just to build it up. And then the next day I'll come and sand the top off it and see what I've got, and I can go again if I need to. So that's a bit of the process of it. But I got the MIG welder sorted out. I was having trouble with the MIG, and I'm using 0.6 of a millimetre wire on the MIG welder, and it was just jamming and buggering around, and one of the rolls from lack of use had a little bit of rust on it, so I've taken it out for tie wire, put a new roll in, and it was still playing up. So I went into Trade Tools in Bundaberg, and with my Tweeko handpiece, which was a good thing, I don't know what's going on with the thing. The screen on the GoPro just lit up. It's been on black screen, and now it's 17 minutes. It's just lit up again. So, but it's still counting. So I'm presuming it's still bloody going. So I'll just keep bloody talking. So, pardon me. So yeah, I went in there, and some of the stuff I had from my old Tweeko handpiece for the MIG. The MIG's a CIG 175. Yeah, a bit out of date and that, and by the time I bought this and that and that and that, I was, you know, $100, $150, and they said, oh, you can have a whole new handpiece for $200, and it's got all the modern stuff on it, because I think I bought this MIG back in 09, rings a bell. And anyway, so I bought a new handpiece for $200, and it's going like a bloody beauty. So yeah, I'm sort of enjoying that. It's working properly, and I was having trouble with the bastard of a thing, but it's good now. I can get a nice weld. I've just turned it up a bit to get a little bit more penetration on the panels, and that's worked well. I had it a bit lean to start with, as I was worried about burning through the panels. But yeah, now I've cranked it all up a little bit further, and when I do a run, if I just keep it moving nicely, I'm getting full penetration. You can look in the back and actually see it coming through. So I've been doing a bit of learning there. Been enjoying that though. I'm mixing, I've got some of my old panels. The apron under the dash is the old one. The actual dash is a second-hand panel I bought off Gordon Ellis out at Inverell. And look, they've fitted together nicely. The side on this side, the bonnet side, it's the original. The one on the other side is an aftermarket one. And I'm having trouble getting the gap quite lined up, but I do have, oh shit, I do have the original bonnet here with a side, and look, it's got a few holes down the other end there, but I am seriously thinking of patching that and using that, and that'll go nicely. The left-hand side bonnet panel with the aftermarket one, there's there's 2 holes at the top, and then there's a screw that holds the bottom panel of the dash on, so you can undo the side and not actually have all the dash come apart. That hole's in the wrong place, but look, I could put it in the right place, but I'm pretty happy with how the sides come up so far. The bonnet here, the lower apron, look, it seems to be a pretty good fit, but the original tractors had a crank hole in them. Now, I don't know who's going to crank a bloody 421-203 engine, a Perkins 4203 diesel engine, but they had a crank hole in them and the aftermarket one hasn't. And people said, oh, you haven't got the crank hole. And look, I think I'll put it in just to keep it looking right. Not that it's needed and not that most people would ever know, but I probably will. I've got the Sparex dash or grill panels in there, the two corners. They're looking good. The where the steering arm comes up the side, they're a bit fat, and I've got to take a bit out of that so it doesn't rub on the tie rod end, on the drag link going forward. The Sparex front grille section, just hang on. The I don't know if you remember or not, but the front grille there, it just had this bit of mesh all the way around, and no one had looked at the air cleaner for years, 34 years, Paul reckons. But so I got this panel from Sparex, but you can see, like where this crease comes up there, they've buggered it up there. That's all dicky. That corner, that's all humps and hollers. Down in there, that's no good. So, oh, and down that corner there, that's up the shit too. So even though it's a new panel, and Sparex sponsored me with this, like that was when, you know, I've had this part for a long time. So I'm going to try and tidy it up, but where it's flat there and it should be round, I'm going to try and come in the back and form that a little bit if I can. Not much of a panel beater though. But anyway, we'll see how we go with that. The panel under the top of the grill, the old one had an air cleaner through it like we did in Australia sometimes, and I'm not going to put that on. I'm going to bring it back to standard, you know, how it would have come out the factory. But there's a panel that sits flat under that out in front of the radiator, and that mounts the air cleaner. Well, it was a homemade one, and the hole's not round or anything, and they'd siliconed up the air cleaner in there, so there's rust holes in the air cleaner that they'd siliconed up. So I've got a Facebook friend, Anthony Lampard, and he's down Gatton to Woombury way. I'm not sure exactly just yet, but on Facebook Marketplace he had a 65 there for wrecking. And so I'm working a trip down there to Anthony's. This axle that the circlip grooves are missing on, for the circlip and all that, he has an axle down there for me. I've got the other parts here for that, I believe. But yeah, he's got an air cleaner for me. What else? Oh, that panel in the air cleaner, he's got one of them. He's got the axle. Oh, my mate Tim, he wants a radius rod for a 35X he's doing up. So I believe he's got one of them down there. So probably around Kangaroo rally, which is the third week in September or the weekend after, I'll actually do a run down and say g'day to Anthony. And I'm probably leaving it a little bit because we've got Agro Trend this weekend. Then the very next weekend we've got the Kangaroo rally. So yeah, that's a all weekender thing. So maybe the weekend after that, because I know he works, so I presume weekend's the best time to go down there. So I'm leaving that until I've got all the panels and that done. And on the bonnet here, I thought I was going to panel beat my bonnet, but I didn't realise it was so bad. Like it's had a patch in here, which isn't too bad. It's got a patch up there, but where it has this, there's like a U-shaped bonnet support with cobwebs on it. Yeah, well, see, they've just got a bit of flat round here, then some of that, then they've got a bit of flat with a support there, and then it's all rusted out. Then on the bottom, that panel, this support, it's all just buckled and bent and rusted out. So I've asked Anthony, would he have a bonnet down there? And he said he's got quite a few panels, he'll have a look. So I probably won't hop into that straight away. The side panel here, I've got a aftermarket one on there, but I was looking at this one this morning and they've got like cupboard door hinges here, but I could just cut them out and there's quite a few, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's about 5 or 6 holes in the front that people have drilled for a bracket or for something. But look, that certainly is a savable panel. So I may even look at saving that one panel and putting that on the tractor as well. So that'll give me an original dash. Oh, and the side panel on the side of the dash, grill on the other side, he may have one of them as well. Look, I can fix it. Down the bottom it's been all split and it's got patches put in the middle of the panel, which look, I can work with that, I can tidy that up, but the bracket's all bent, and when I try and straighten the panel it bends the bracket. So anyway, I'll ask him, and he said he has got some panels there, so if he's got the panels I need, good, I'll buy them off him. If not, I'll have to find a plan B. Or get an aftermarket bonnet or something, but I would prefer the originals. But yeah, this side panel, I'll probably cut it off shortly and set it up on there and see if the angle's right, because the angle on this side, I've got that strapped in there now, and the piece I put on the side panel for the holes, well, I haven't drilled the holes yet until I knew I could line it all up. So this side, left-hand side, as you sit on the seat's looking good. The other side needs a bit of work, but look, I'll go handheld shortly and we'll have a bit of a look at that. The Saturday evening I started on the foot plates. I do have the foot plates off it. Now, normal foot plates where you put your foot here and then you have the front piece that sits up there, there's a double panel there and they rust out there. Well, the front of my panel, it had been rusted out and they'd welded it up and all that, so I've cut it all off. I've cut a piece out to put a bit of 1/8 flat in there, and then I'll have to get a bit of 1/8 or something to come from the other, but I'll show you that over on the welding bench as well. So I've only started on the 1 foot plate. I haven't done the other side panel on the grill because I may be able to get one that hasn't got much work involved, so we'll see about that. So with the 65, I have bits and pieces to puddle along with. I cleaned the bench near the door and it's actually quite nice sitting there buggering around. I've got the welder there and everything that I need, air hose and everything, so that's working well. I've got Grumpy Dave's old FE35, the one that's leaking water into the sump. Now, I did a quick short on that last week, and look, it's not much of a leak, whatever it is. I remember when I first got it, I put it out the front and I did a heap of oil changes and wiped all the sump out and all that, and I put glycol in it. Then it must have been in the shed here 18 months before I put it out in the waiting room, and I cracked the bung one time in the shed here and it had a little bit of green there from the coolant. I cracked it the other day and it must have been out the side a couple of years, I reckon, maybe by now. And well, it's been there that long, the colour's gone out of the coolant, and there was a little bit of water in the sump. But when Grumpy Dave had it, I remember him telling me that, you know, he'd start it and run it, then the next day he'd come out there and there'd be no water in the radiator. So the radiator's still full. So I've brought it into the shed now. It's got a bay. The injection pump is just pissing diesel out. So there's another job. That'll be I don't know how many diesel injection pump videos I got, but I got a few. So that'll probably be another one of those. One of the viewers pointed out that the 35 outside there with the cold start head has actually got the advance unit on the bottom of the pump, where this one here doesn't. So that's okay. The shed's creaking now a bit, so you hear that? So you might be picking all that up, I'm not sure. So I've got that in there. Then look, hopefully this week I'm hoping to video pulling the head off that FE35 and checking those secret tubes. I do have some tubes I made last week for Kempy, but they already had some, so he come for a yarn and brought them back. So I do have the secret tubes for in the head, you know, where the head studs go. So I'm going to pull the head, pull those tubes, put stainless tubes in. I've ordered a VRS set from Sparex, and bloody typical Grumpy Dave style, like he's done it to a lot of tractors I've known him to have over the years. He cuts all the wiring harness out of them, so there's not a wire in the bloody thing. So Anyway, not to worry. It's just something else to do. So I've ordered a complete wiring harness out of Sparix because they have good wiring harnesses. I've got an injection pump kit in the drawer here for resealing the injection pump, and I'm just going to pop the head off. I know it's got new pistons, rings, liners and all in it. And I noticed that the injection pump's advanced right across, which can mean a bit of timing cover wear, but look, I might pop the timing cover off and put a new timing chain in and then reset all the timing up and see how it starts with that. So that'd just be a good thing. Cold, it takes a little bit to get going. Hot, hot, it starts really well, and no smoke, no nothing, it's good. But like I'm thinking, if I got the head off, well, I might as well just put the injectors on and give them a squirt. And you know how these jobs just take off on you? You know, AKA the Farmall 100 water pump. So anyway, we'll see. I just want to do a few bits and pieces. There'll be good video content. Head off, do them, put it back, and run through the process. The injection pump again. I've got another injection pump on an engine outside as well. So it hasn't got anything underneath for advance for starting either. So anyway, we'll just see what happens. Pardon me, got a bit of a cough coming along. So. Anyway, look, that's about all for the stew today. Thanks for stopping by. Stay with us. I'll take you for a little bit of a walk around and show you what I'm up to. And yeah, look, have a good week, everyone. Hopefully I've got a bit more content and a few shorts and things popping out on what I'm doing in the shed, but it will be a busy club week later in the week, so I'll see what I can get done early. All right, we'll catch you later, eh? Okay, this is just a quick look at the bonnet. You can see where this U-shaped panel is cut out and it's missing from over there, and there's patches and bits and pieces here and there. But that side panel, that's looking pretty good, apart from a couple of holes down the bottom there, which aren't any worries. Oh, there's another couple of holes there, but that's okay. And I'll have to have a look what the hinges like, because they were only they've only used those hinges, and I do have a nice bit of stainless piano hinge there, I think. So I'll have to have a look at that. But we come over here to the 65. That's the aftermarket panel, and this is the original one. The dash is lining up really nicely, like that original dash. Country hick steering wheel. That bottom there looking lovely. Now that's, I mean, the grooves there are pretty good. I've got to tidy up just around here a little bit. So I can probably close that gap just a little bit there yet. Up here, this is the panel that I replaced all this section up in here, and look, that's looking. Look, I'm happy with that. But where the holes go up here, I haven't drilled them yet. I was just waiting on getting it set up and getting the lines done, and then I can drill them and bolt it down and go from there. The grill, look, I'm fairly happy with that. The top here, the top's got a nice line here, but down here it's just got like a curve, so I've probably got to deal with that. Oh, there is a hole down the bottom there. Well, I was just looking at the photos and someone pointed out the hole wasn't there, and I said, no, it's not, I'll have to put one in, but look, it is there. I'll have to show them that. Round this side here, that's the aftermarket side panel, and you can see the grooves here and the holes aren't lining up, but what I'm thinking of doing is undoing it at the back end there, line this up, and then see if the whole dash pivoting on here wants to come back there, just to help line it up. So look, we'll see how that goes. The final drive's on the gantry, waiting for the axle parts to finish the diff. But look, all in all, that's good. We'll come around. That's where the FE35's sitting. I've got the bonnet off. I'll take the tank off today and get that ready for filming, pulling the head off. An interesting thing is that you can see the gold on the clamps for the injectors, but I'm not sure what happened. Grumpy Dave painted things and half painted things, but that's all right. That'll be a nice little tractor. What I'm thinking of doing is popping a set of heavy cast centres on the back there and using this as just a little pull tractor to go and play with the fellas. So, is that a crack in the sump? Yeah, it looks like the sump's been all welded up here. Yeah, I've got a spare sump. Looks like the sump's coming off. Anyway, and round here, this might flare out a bit. I'll sit in my chair. That's the piece I cut out of that side panel. That can go in the bin. But on the, hang on a second, I'll get myself organised in a minute. Okay, on here, that's where I've cut out the foot plate. I had to straighten all this out, and it's not 100% straight, but look, I think it's going to be okay. Then this panel here, you can see where it was all welded, and so I've cut that off, and that's going to sit in there somewhere. So I'm going to put a patch panel in here with a nice straight front on it. Then I'm going to bring this in at 90 degrees, and yeah, look, just see how that goes. Look, I think it'll be okay. But yeah, I've got a good little place here. Spare steel on the floor, the MIG welder just over there. I've got power and air and all here, and look, I can look out the door. A bit of cloud coming over. So anyway, that's a bit of a look around at what we're doing in the shed this week. Yeah, have a good week everyone, and we'll catch you all next week, eh? See ya.